The NHL season is officially here, and with that, it's time to predict who will dominate the regular season and who will unfortunately fail to make the postseason. In this video, we will predict where every team will finish this season and who will win the President's Trophy. Make sure to watch till the end to hear all my thoughts, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more sports content just like this. Without further ado, let's begin. Starting off in the East, in 8th place we have the Buffalo Sabres. Teams who finished close to them last season, like the Sens and the Habs, got better during the offseason, while they stayed the same. Buffalo needs frankly their entire team to take a jump. And I don't see that happening in such a competitive division. Ultimately, they will struggle and finish in 8th. Moving on in 7th, we have the Montreal Canadiens. I love the moves they made in this offseason. However, losing Laine and Reinbacher for frankly their entire season is just a punch to the face. I'm expecting massive steps from the likes of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Goulet. It's going to be great to see a full season of Lane Hudson. The Habs still won't be good, but they will be a very exciting team to watch. Moving on in 6th place, we have the Ottawa Senators. Honestly, there is no reason this team shouldn't be in the playoff race come April, if not in the playoffs already. To be honest, I can't pick this team to make the playoffs until they can actually show me they can do it. I mean, they basically have everything a playoff team needs. They have good depth, a very competent goaltender, their young guys are getting better, their defense is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they make the playoffs, but recency bias is keeping me from picking them to make it. Next up, I have the Detroit Red Wings finishing in 5th. I like the addition of Vladimir Tarasenko. However, they lost a lot of key pieces this offseason and had some questionable goaltending signings. Their defense is very shaky. However, I do think they will build off the season they had last year and take a run at the playoffs. Ultimately, I don't think they will make it, but still think this season will be a positive one nonetheless. Finishing in 4th and clinching the first wildcard spot in the East, I have the Boston Bruins. I didn't like the return they got for the Linus Ullmark trade. The additions of Lindholm and Zadorov were good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they overpaid for both of them just slightly. I think this team will take a slight step back, but still make the playoffs, which is why I have them finishing in 4th. Next up, we have 3rd, and I think this spot belongs to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I didn't like them losing Stamkos and Sergachev. However, I love the signing of Jake Guentzel. Point is a franchise center and will replace Stamkos perfectly fine. Their right side on defense will be their biggest weakness in my opinion. I still see them doing very well and thus finishing in 3rd. Finishing in 2nd, I have the Florida Panthers. They are basically running back the exact same team that just won the Cup last year, minus Brandon Montour. However, I really like the Adam Boqvist signing to replace him. Their bottom 6 is a bit weak, but their top 6 is elite. I think they will do slightly worse due to Montour leaving, and Cup hangover might catch them off guard to start the season, but they will still comfortably make the playoffs. Coming in 1st and winning the East, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lost a bit on offense, but improved massively on defense. Tanev is exactly what this team needs, a pure defensive defenseman who will pair great with Morgan Rielly. If Robertson, Pacioretty, and McMahon can make up for the goals lost from Bertuzzi, this team could be a problem. Pair that with, in my opinion, an extremely underrated tandem, I think they will have a very good regular season and ultimately win the East. Moving on to the Metro, in 8th place I have the Columbus Blue Jackets. Unfortunately, they have little to nothing to look forward to this season. They have below average offense, below average defense, and below average goaltending. Hopefully players like Fantilli, Johnson, and Marchenko continue to improve, but besides that, there's not a whole lot to look forward to this season as they finish in last. Coming in 7th, I have the Philadelphia Flyers. Unfortunately, their miracle run from last season will not happen again this season. I'm excited for the young guys like Michkov and Luchenko and Brink, but besides that, this is not an exciting team in the slightest. Unfortunately, in the year 2024, you can't have playoff aspirations when Sean Couturier is your first-line center. Just hope the young guys do well, and hope you can put a more competent team together for next season. Next up, in 6th place, we have the New York Islanders. Man, these guys have dug themselves into a hole. They are the definition of average. Terrible contracts like Engvall, Mayfield, Lee, Pajot that are just doing this team more harm than good. Honestly, they're just a mediocre team that unfortunately is only going to get worse, which is exactly why they will finish in 6th. In 5th place, I have the Washington Capitals. Honestly, even though I picked them for 5th, I feel like they will make the playoffs. They only got better this offseason. I love the trades and the signings that they did, bringing in the likes of Matt Roy, Jacob Chychrun, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Logan Thompson, all great moves. Honestly, they just had a really solid offseason. There's no reason why I have them not making the playoffs. I just feel like the teams above them are better. Moving on, and one of my hotter takes of the video, coming in 4th and clinching the 2nd wildcard spot in the East, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins. Honestly, I have no idea why I picked these guys to make the playoffs. I like the McGroarty trade, but besides that, they really did nothing else. Jari is going to need to be really solid if they want a chance. At the very least, they will be competitive come April. There's no chance Sidney Crosby misses the playoffs again. That's honestly my only reason for picking them. If their team clicks, they have a shot. They need monster seasons from Sid and Gino. Moving on, I have the Carolina Hurricanes coming in 3rd. They had some tough losses with Gensel and Pesce leaving. However, their decor is still extremely good with the Gostisbehere and Sean Walker signings. Having Roslovic in your top 6 is not ideal, but besides that, their top 6 is good. They need Anderson and Kochetkov to be consistent, which I think they will be. Ultimately, I think they will finish in 3rd. Next up, in 2nd place, I have the New York Rangers. I wasn't a fan of the Riley Smith trade, but they still have a great team nonetheless. Hopefully Philip Hedl can have a full healthy season. Defense is good, goaltending is good. Shesterkin not having a contract could be a distraction to the team throughout the season. But besides that, they are a very good team and are an easy playoff lock. Finally, not only coming in 1st in the Metro, but also winning the President's Trophy, I have the New Jersey Devils. They missed the playoffs last year, however, their team is still incredibly elite. Biggest issue was goaltending, but they solved that with the Markstrom trade. They already had a top 5 decor in the league, and that somehow got better with the Brett Pesce, Brendan Dillon signings, and Dougie Hamilton coming back. Their offense is still fantastic. I think they will have a big bounce back season, which is exactly why I have them not only winning the Metro, but the President's Trophy as well. Moving on to the West, in 8th place I have the Chicago Blackhawks. This is a surprise to absolutely nobody. Me personally, I would have taken Demidov with pick 2. However, I still like the Levshinov pick. They signed competent forwards in Teuvo Teravainen and Tyler Bertuzzi to give Bedard some more scoring help. The Blackhawks are clearly valuing development, as they should be, by sending Korchinski down to the minors. In a few years, this team will be very, very good, but not right now, as they will finish in 8th. Moving on in 7th, I have the St. Louis Blues. I like the Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg offer sheets, but besides that, they had a very boring offseason. Subpar top 6, average to below average decor, shaky goaltending. Nothing stands out about this team that makes me think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see them having a good season, which is why I think they will finish in 7th. Coming in 6th place, I have the Minnesota Wild. They are basically the exact same as the St. Louis Blues, just an extremely average team. They need Marco Rossi to take a big step this season and establish himself as their first-line center. Kaprizov should do very well this year. Parise and Suter's buyouts are still killing this team. Next year, once they get all that cap space back, they can be competitive again. But until that's done, it's hard to see a world where they make the playoffs. Next up in 5th, I have the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets had a very weird offseason. They signed basically nobody. On the other hand, they lost Brossoit, Toffoli, Dillon, and then just straight up didn't replace them. They're gonna need people like Perfetti to step up and Connor to have another solid season, but even still, I just don't see a world where they make the playoffs. Coming in 4th and clinching the 2nd wildcard spot, I have the new Utah Hockey Club. Ownership already came out and said they want to be competitive this season. I think that Cooley, Gunther, and Josh Stone are all due for big seasons. They completely revamped their decor over the offseason, which is now extremely solid. Goaltending is the biggest question mark in my opinion, but I'm still decently confident in Ingram. I think ultimately they will surprise people and sneak in as the wild card too. Next up, coming in third, I have the Dallas Stars. This is kind of a bold take, as most people expected them to do a lot better. I hated their defensive signings. Replacing Chris Tanev with Matt Dumba and Ilya Labushkin is not going to cut it. They're still elite offensively. Their goaltending is still good, although losing Wedgwood isn't ideal. This team will still be good, but not as good as last season, which is why I have them finishing in third. Next up, coming in second, I have the Nashville Predators. This was the most active team during the offseason. They overpaid on a few contracts, but they're very obviously in win-now mode. This team is much better than last season. They have better offense and better defense, which will most likely result in better goaltending as well. I think they will vastly improve from last year, which is why I have them in second. Coming in first and winning the West, I have the Colorado Avalanche. Just like the Penguins pick, I have no real reason as to why I think this will happen. Landeskog is supposed to come back this season. They do still have a very good top four on defense. However, their goaltending needs to be solid. I'm excited to see a full season of Middlestat at 2C to see what he can do. Once again, there's no real reason as to why I think this will happen, just a gut feeling I suppose. Moving into the Pacific Division, in 8th place I have the San Jose Sharks. They are going to be better than last year, but still not good. They have some exciting forward prospects like Celebrini, Smith, and Eklund to look forward to. And I did like the Tyler Toffoli signing. This team will look extremely good in a few years once they sort out their decor and Askarov plays NHL games, but for now, they will not be very good this season, which to be fair, is exactly what they want. Moving on in 7th place, I have the Calgary Flames. They clearly want to tank. They traded a lot of pieces in the offseason, and they might trade even more throughout the season. Hopefully Wolf does good in his first full season in the NHL. I love their draft. 2 or 3 more years of sucking and good drafting, and they could become a promising team. With that being said, I don't see them being good at all this year, which is why I have them finishing in 7th. Coming in 6th, I have the Anaheim Ducks. This is an extremely young and promising team. I'm hopeful for a Trevor Zegras bounce back season, and I'm very excited to see Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson, and Mason McTavish further progress. On top of that, they have lots of good defensive prospects as well, like Zellweger and Munchikov. Dostal also looks solid. I think they will take a jump this year. Not a big one by any means, but a jump nonetheless. Next up, we have 5th place, and I think the LA Kings will take this spot. This team is a whole lot of average. Losing Doughty is massive. Brandt Clark is going to need to step up in his absence. I don't trust Kemper all that much. Byfield needs to take a huge jump if they want a shot at making it, and even if it does happen, I just don't trust their roster enough to make the playoffs. Coming in 4th in the Pacific and clinching the first wildcard spot, I have the Seattle Kraken. They had a down year last year, but I think they will bounce back. In the offseason, they overpaid for Montour and Stevenson, but they're still 2 extremely good players. I'm hopeful for a Matty Beniers bounce back, as well as Shane Wright to have a strong season. They have solid offense, solid defense, and Joey Decor looked great last year. I think they will surprise a lot of people and ultimately make the playoffs. Coming in 3rd, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. Their offense is fairly average, but their defense is simply fantastic. I didn't like the Logan Thompson trade, but Aiden Hill is still a very good starter. Holtz needs to step up and provide some much needed scoring to this team. Vegas is just all around solid, and they should definitely make the playoffs. Moving on, I have the Vancouver Canucks finishing in 2nd. Not having Demko to start this season is going to be awful. It sucked losing Lindholm and Zadorov, however I like the Jake DeBrusk signing. They have good offense, their defense simply can't be bad with Quinn Hughes, but goaltending is the big question mark. However, I do have faith. I feel like they will probably start off on the slower side, but once Demko gets back, they should safely make the playoffs. And finally, coming in first and winning the Pacific, I have the Edmonton Oilers. This team just made the Cup Finals, and they only got better. I love the Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner signings. They have fantastic offense, Stuart Skinner should have a solid season, and McDavid is looking for blood after losing the Cup. Edmonton is going to have a phenomenal season, and that's why I think they will win the Pacific. So that does it for this video. If you're new to the channel and you've liked what you've seen, please be sure to subscribe, like the video, and turn on notifications so you know whenever I upload. Also, be sure to leave a comment telling me if you agree with my predictions or not. I appreciate you all taking time out of your days to watch my videos, and I will see you all again very soon.